Okay, so I am making these back to back. So this one's the second one, and this one's coming like right after. So I wanted to talk about high school dating for me. So grab a cup of coffee, grab a cup of something, whatever you want. Come stop in and listen to me yap your ear off because I'm an unk. A lot of people. So the reason I consider myself an unk and why I let people call me unk, or sometimes I refer to myself as unk, because I have so many experiences. And one experience I have never had fun with was the dating scene. So I tried dating a lot. In freshman year, I was a douchebag to a lot of women and girls, and I didn't know how to respect girls, and I also didn't know how to catch hints. So like there were a lot of times I got hit on, and people would tell me like hours or days later, and I'd be like, "Oh, okay." And I'd be like, "Okay." I'm walk on my merry way, and I'd completely forget about that person, or I'd keep them on my Snap or like on my Messenger, and then like years later I realized, oh, they were hitting on me, and then I'm like, well, it's too late to say anything. But I made friends with a lot of people. I even at one point, like, if you want to know how douchey and much of an asshole I was trying to date a lesbian girl, and I was like became best friends with her and was like trying to convince her to go straight. Before you say, oh, that's horrible, I know I was douchey, really douchey, like very much of an asshole. And it wasn't like I just tried dating everybody, and at one I became so lonely and so upset with like my attempts, because I was always getting people who were lesbian in a relationship or just hit me with the and I was like, so what I did was I completely gave up on love. I was like, fuck this, I'm not gonna do it, I don't care anymore, and I left it be. Never dated. I spent like a majority of that year not dating. And then I met this girl. I can't say her name because she's unfortunately she has passed away. It's been years since she passed. I think it was like in 2020 or 2021, somewhere in there. I think it was 2021 actually. I think it was like the year after COVID. But what happened was this girl used to sit behind me, okay? And she used to do stuff like mess with my hair, mess with my paperwork and stuff like that, or like whisper to me. And the thing is I'm not a stranger to that. I had that happen in middle school. So like in my brain, I didn't register as, oh, hey, this girl is like trying to like either date or like say hey or like trying to be friends or something. So like in my head, I get aggravated and I responded harshly, and she just kept ramping it up. Eventually, I developed this kind of crush on her, and I remember she was like super popular. A lot of guys knew her. I had this like really deep crush on her, and like now that I'm an adult and looking back on it, I'm pretty sure that was a prank, but but I thought this girl really liked me. I talked to her constantly, and I like actually stopped being so negative with her and was constantly talking with her, trying to find stuff to talk about. And I used to let her mess with my hair. I had really scraggy hair, like the J Schlatt photo I have of myself, where I have like my beard, my mustache, and like my hair. Imagine me with my long hair like that, but with no beard or mustache, and that's what I looked like for like the longest time. I've always had long hair. Like my hair gets long, not this long, but it will get long and scruffy, and will get to the point where it like overlaps my eyes like this, and you can't hardly see them. And I remember she used to play with my hair all the time, and she like there were so many times she tried to convince me to get cornrows. There were so many times that she tried to like braid my hair, and I'm like, please don't touch my hair. I don't appreciate it. I don't like it. I get uncomfortable. I don't like when the back of my neck is touched by people. I'm very sensitive to touch and very sensitive to certain things. So like I respond very harshly sometimes to it. So like, if somebody like even sometimes when people I know like touch the back of my neck, I freak out. I don't like hit them or smack them, but I will flinch. I will might even like straighten up and turn to him and be like, "Yo, knock it off." And so what I lost complete track of mine. I don't know, cut that out or don't. Um, but yeah, I really like this girl. I was like, oh my god, I got a crush on her. Maybe at some point I need to ask her out. And I was like, we had been talking. I had like kept asking her if I could hang out with her, hang out at her house, and like she did like blow me off a few times, but then I like kind of gave up on it and was like, I'll just keep trying to be friends with her, and I won't try and continue trying to presume a relationship. And I remember it was towards the end of my freshman year. I was at a high school, or it was a wrestling tournament. It was a wrestling tournament, and my coach is on his phone, and I'm like getting ready for a match. And this was one of my really hard matches because like I'm tough and I'm large, but the kids I was going against were like double my size. They were fucking uber built and large, and I was just like a freshman, so I'm like, please don't bend me like a pretzel or check my oil, please. And so what ends up happening is he like he looked um like distressed in the face, and he's like telling people that were from my high school, like he was telling them, and I'm like over in my own little area, I'm not paying attention, and I look over and he's got like a crowd of kids around him, and he's like telling a lot of people. I walk over and I'm like, hey coach, what's wrong, what's going on? And he's like, there was a car wreck, there was a girl that got into a car wreck. And I'm like, what kind of girl? And he's like, uh I don't really know. I got a photo of her from the I think it was like an art. No, it wasn't a photo from him. I asked one of the other students who it was, and then they told me it was the girl I had been talking to. And I remember it destroyed me inside. It hurt. It was her and her brother, and they basically, their parents went on vacation, and she and her brother threw like a really big party. And I remember that they basically went out to like restock on alcohol. And so it was her and her brother, and she was driving. Her brother, another guy who I know and I went to high school with, and I think he even got some jail time before he was released on good behavior, and an unknown female. And I remember it's literally not even that far from my house. It was the road they were going down is really hilly, and they hit one of the hill areas going at a diagonal angle and went off of the road entirely, went up, and basically did a fucking flip. And they flipped like 360 and hit a tree, and she went completely flying out of the vehicle because she was the only one not wearing a seatbelt, and hit a tree and died on impact. And I remember when I heard this, I was destroyed, distraught, and destroyed. I spent a lot of time like thinking about it. I was hurting. I even though that like I didn't have like a relationship with this girl, it still really hurt. And I remember no like when people mourn, and when people like when people mourn, it's always different for everybody. And one thing that I hated about her death in particular was schools don't mourn for that long. And it felt like her name vanished really quickly, and only people who really knew her tried to keep her memory going. And I remember I was very quiet and very just withdrawn from the whole thing. I didn't talk a lot. I kind of was like distraught because I'm like, somebody that close to me died. And I remember, you know, I still even have the band that has like her date of birth and her death, and I keep it in my miscellaneous drawer over in the corner. I have a dresser in the corner. You can barely see it. It's like right there. And I have a miscellaneous drawer where I keep certain things, and it's still in there. I kept it even through my first relationship, through my second relationship. I've never really talked to anyone about keeping it, but I've kept it for I don't know how long. And I remember it was almost like it was months and months upon after that I somewhat like didn't go back into dating, but somewhat did. Like I was slowly putting my foot back into the door. And this girl I really got close with. She was a short, heavier set girl, but she was like really cowboyish, like and really cool. And I really liked her. I really liked her. She was a really nice girl. Didn't come off as crazy. Came off really normal. Like I said, was very yeehaw-ish. And I'm like, okay, maybe I could date this girl. And it was like talking to her for like almost a month, and then like I remember there was one I was about to go to bed, and I get hit with a text that so basically I don't want to like explain the whole thing in like great detail, but basically what happened was that she convinced me that she had gotten into a car wreck, and that it wasn't her texting her phone, that it was an officer. I called her friend. Her friend was crying, telling me that she was dead. I started calling her phone, blowing it up, and it was not picking up. And eventually, like, I got a hold of her, and I'm like in tears, sobbing. I'm like freaking out. And she tells me that it was a test. And I remember, dude, I remember I just told her, I was like shakily telling her, I'm like, hey, I need some time apart from this. I don't know if I can continue this. And she's like, don't worry, just take as much time as you need. I'm so sorry. I should never have done this to you. This was not right. I I now see my mistake, and I'm like, yeah, okay. I like hung up the phone, and I remember I didn't ever speak to her ever again. I just completely ghosted her, never talked to her again. I still have the messages. I just don't think I ever like touched them. I think they're still buried in my phone, but I just remember it was like it was a crazy ass experience, and it wasn't even that long after the previous girl's death, so it like freaked me out. And I remember, you know, I just remember like completely ignoring this girl in high school. I remember completely like staying away from her, and she never talked to me after that. And I'm glad that that didn't go through. I'm glad that I didn't end up going through with that. And but it was just like one of those experiences that are like, what the fuck? And I'm glad that I didn't have to deal with that anymore. I'm glad that I was brave enough and smart enough to back out of that situation before it became too like in deep where I couldn't back out. And that was just like my dating experience. That was my first dating experience, like, and that shit made me not want to date at all. I did end up dating again not too long after, but it like I didn't want to date anyone. But anyway, I'm gonna wrap this one up here. Sometime soon there should be another video out. I don't know if I'm gonna do another podcast video today, but I need to get these edited and out today, which again, these should be both back to back. They should be uploaded very soon, and hopefully if I don't, well, I'm probably gonna be live later tonight, probably playing DBD or something. I don't know. Just depends on how I feel. But anyway, as always, I love you guys, and I'll see you dudes in the next video. Peace out.